March 21st, 1927.
21st, 19?
I'll be 90 next week.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
We were sitting in the living room there, and well, we didn't have television. We had the radio was on. They come over the radio. December 7th. It was a nice sunny afternoon here in Morin where we were. I remember that. A couple of them. One Carlson was his last name. He was really a good basketball player, and he left and never came back.
You get a draft notice at some point, or?
Well, yeah, I had a draft. I was going to be drafted. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a draft number. Now, yeah, and my dad, especially my dad, but my dad and mother both, they didn't want me to be in the Army. And so they took me up here to Jamestown, and there was a recruiting office and that, and I signed up for the Navy. I went to Buffalo and had to have a physical and do some other small tests and so forth and that. And I came home and had 7 days, and then there were 7 of us all together, 7. And we all went in the Navy, and we went up here to Lake Geneva to Sampson Naval Station and took our boot training up there. After we finished the boot camp and that, I got shipped down to Bainbridge, Maryland to pharmacist mate school.
That's where they taught you about chemistry and pharmacy, right?
Right. And about the body. I mean, we did they had in the morgue there, they had old Navy guys that had no home, no family, no nothing, and they had, we'd have an autopsy. The fellow would give us instructions and to talk to us, and autopsy the body, open it up, and show us all the different organs and how everything hooked together.
Wow, fascinating.
They'd always do that in the morning before lunch.
Oh, my word.
And he was just a wise guy, and he'd always have some smart remarks to make.
Like what? Do you recall?
He'd pull out your intestines, chow down.
Gosh.
In the next 20 minutes, we were going to lunch. We went to school 6 days a week, from 8 in the morning till 5:30 in the evening. Graduated from there. I went down to Annapolis, Maryland, to the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
And that was really good duty. Had a private room, and we had a dining room and tablecloths and dishes, and no metal trays or anything.
Oh my gosh.
It was nice duty.
Finally, did you get to go to San Francisco?
Yep. And right there was outgoing units, and that's where you were put in a big pool and that. And I don't know how they picked out where you go or not, but I went to Pearl Harbor.
And do you remember the ship you were on?
It was an LSD, landing ship dock, flat bottom job.
Meet the LSD, Landing Ship Dock, the newest and biggest of all the Navy's landing craft. 457 feet long, displacement 4,055 tons, making 17 knots. She's a big ship and a fast ship. She can be used either as floating dry dock or as a transport for smaller landing craft and amphibious vehicles.
He's out of San Francisco, and we hit a storm, and we were just like a rubber ball. We were all over. I know the first day of the storm and that, we went down at noon for lunch at the galley, and the soup and the coffee and that was that deep. So we lived for 2 days on ham sandwiches and apples.
Oh, gosh. Did you get seasick?
No, but a lot of them did.
I bet.
They run around with a gallon can under their arm, but I never got seasick. But I got assigned to the IEA hospital, which was 10 miles up the mountain or hill. It was a mountain, really. It was pretty steep. And then when the Japs came and hit that day when they bombed the harbor and sunk those ships and all that. They flew right over the hospital and they just dived right down and unloaded their bombs and took off. From the hospital, the front steps of the hospital, you could look right down in the harbor where the Arizona set, well, you know, they sunk with all those guys on board and that. Worked at the emergency ward most of the time, but then sometimes I'd have to go. They'd fly to Okinawa or Guam, and they'd have patients and that, and they had these specially equipped planes, and there'd be a doctor and a couple nurses and 2 or 3 corpsmen, and we'd go and pick up these patients. A lot of them were, well, they were crazy. They cracked up.
So would you fly on the planes with them?
Yeah, we had like cells or pens and that, and some of them you had to put them in there and that. And most of them were Marines. See, all the Marines go to the Navy hospitals for all their medical work and all that. So a lot of it was the Marines, you know, that were invading those islands and that and fighting. And a lot of them cracked up. Some of them hadn't had any mail for 3 months. They never heard from home. If they happened to be married, they never heard from their wife or their parents or that, and they'd crack up.
So these patients were sometimes medical, but sometimes psychological.
Exactly. A lot of it was psychological.
Yeah.
There's some medical and that. We'd bring them back to IEA at the big hospital. They'd process them there, and if they could help them or, you know, get them going again and that, they stayed there. And if they didn't, we shipped them on into the Navy hospital in San Diego, California. There at the hospital, sometimes we'd have these luau's. That was like, I guess around here you think about a picnic or something, but it'd be a pig roast. They'd have some of the natives would dig this big pit, put a pig in there, and banana leaves and all that on it, and cook it and all that, and have a picnic and a party.
Was there drinks at the time? What was the...
Yeah, there was drinks. I remember one time the guy got too much drinks and that, and was in a Jeep, went over the cliff and killed himself. There was that one restaurant they called the Trader Vic's, and when all the ships would come in, the guys would get liberty in that, and that place was always crowded.
And this was on Honolulu?
Yeah, it was in Honolulu. And usually, before the night was over, there was some fights, and they get that fire water in them, and they go nuts.
What's that? You want to learn how to make the 1944 Trader Vic's Mai Tai at home? Well, our friends over at the Velveteen Lounge Kitchen already have a video of that up and running.
Well, I was there till I got discharged. I didn't get discharged there, but I got sent home for discharge after the war.
PJ Day, do you remember when you got the word?
Oh boy, I sure do. They about tore up the island, I'm telling you, Honolulu and that. Everybody went crazy.
Including you?
No, I was on duty. I was on an ambulance picking up people that got hurt or got banged up from fighting, or they just went wild.
Wow. How did you personally feel at that moment?
I don't know what to say. A lot of it, you thought, well, you know, why do people do this? You know, well, you know, they'd get drunk, get drinking and that, and fighting, and a lot of times when the ships would come in, sometimes the ships would come in and dock there. They'd have somebody on board, you know, it was really sick, maybe acute appendicitis or that. We'd have to run the ambulance down, pick them up, and bring them up to the hospital. You know, they'd do surgery on them and all that, and get them going again. And I'll never forget that.
You remember going under the Golden Gate Bridge?
I remember going on. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was a beautiful day. Sun was shining, and it was so really nice. And we stood out on the deck and waved away in that. And I come back on an Army airplane. There were 6 of us. and it was like a box car. Is all it was a pipe and canvas and hooked onto another pipe. That was all we had for seats. But anyways, we were getting back to the States, and when we come into San Francisco, the pilot come on the phone and that, and he says, "You want to see this again?" And he kind of swooped down over the Golden Gate and made a big circle and come back around. We could look at the Golden Gate.
Wow. So now you knew you were home.
I knew I was home.
Well, this has been great. Thank you, Mr. Nordine. I appreciate your time.
Oh,
We
yeah.
salute you.
You're welcome. Thank you.